Hey everybody, this is Dr. Justin Dean with Back to Running, and today I'd like to share with you an interesting shoulder case. The subject has had a year and a half of restricted, non-painful shoulder flexion with no mechanism of injury. You can see here that he has adequate shoulder flexion as far as symmetry, but he's overextending his lumbar spine and not quite getting enough active extension from his thoracic spine. As we put his ribcage in a more neutral position, which will require active T-spine extension, you can see that his left arm is drastically reduced. As I apply proximal tension on the ulnar nerve, you can see that his shoulder flexion increases by a few degrees. Now we unload the neurotract by wrist flexion, make sure his ribs are relatively neutral, and he does shoulder flexion again, and we notice symmetry. When we put a little bit more load on the nervous system with wrist extension, you'll notice that he has drastically decreased shoulder flexion with stiffness where my hand is describing. In an effort to deload the neural tract, we actually do a Mackenzie chin retraction, load with extension, and then retest, and that looks about 40-50% increase in range of motion. Following the joint-by-joint approach, it seems that his thoracic spine is a major contributor, so here you can see me doing a little bit of mulligan mobilization with movement, while he again goes into shoulder flexion. And that seemed to help a bit. Now we're going to load the tract again, and do a little bit of thoracic spine mobilization with movement. Now that we've increased his shoulder range of motion so it's relatively symmetrical, we're going to employ some flossing techniques. To integrate this flossing functionally, we're going to maintain inner abdominal pressure and screw the floor away to integrate the feet and glutes. Then gradually put more tension while we do more Mackenzie chin retractions, more inner abdominal pressure, and more screwing the floor away. It's important to follow the clinical audit process, so you can see we retest in neutral, loaded, which is drastically increased, and unloaded. This video was purposely left relatively unedited so you can see how in real time we add in principles from neurodynamic testing, Mackenzie, joint by joint, mulligan, concepts from DNS, SFMA, etc. to treat a patient in real time. And he's pretty happy.